If you want to install a GMRS radio in your Bronco, first of all, decide where you want to put the antenna. In my case, I want to put it right here where the ditch light accessory location is. And I'm using a magnetic antenna. And this whole area is all plastic. So I made a very simple bracket, which is just a ferrous piece of metal that's attached to the screw here. And so I'm going to attach it there. And then the important thing is, before you install the wire, is to check the standing wave ratio and make sure that's an area where the antenna is going to operate properly. So I'll show you how to check the SWR. It's important because the location of the antenna affects the SWR. The SWR is a measure of how efficiently the antenna is working. It's important because if it's poor efficiency, it can actually reflect back a lot of energy and burn up your transmitter if it's really bad. And so you want it in a place where it efficiently transmits and doesn't damage your transmitter. So I'm going to try it here before routing all the wires. I'll check the SWR and see if that's a good area for the antenna and see if it's got a good SWR measurement right here. I'm in the Bronco. I have the SWR meter hooked up. These are available for about 60 bucks. They have to be ones that work in the frequency range of a GMRS. If you have one for a CB radio, those work at about 27 megahertz, which is much lower frequency than GMRS, and they won't work in this range. GMRS is about 460 megahertz, so you need one that's tuned for this. You can see that's the meter, and what happens is you take from your transmitter, you come into this side that's marked TX for transmitter, and then on the other side it's marked ANT for antenna. And so I've connected the antenna that I showed you previously. It's just sitting out here, so that antenna is on its little bracket, and I haven't installed the wire all the way through the car. I'm just doing this check initially. So now let's measure the SWR. I'm on channel 22. When I measure, you can see my reading is a 1, so that's as good as it gets. Now I'm going to change the channel to channel 1, and I'm going to measure again. And you can see in that case it's a 1.02, which is still very low. Let me try that one again. Actually, it's 1, pretty close to 1. Yeah, so it's pretty much 1. So those are both best measurements you can get. The Bronco presents a unique challenge when you're mounting a GMRS antenna, really any antenna, because ideally you want an antenna up high and you want it on a metallic surface to give it a ground plane. And so the best location is on top of a metal roof or on top of a metal trunk lid. The roof is better because it's higher. When you're up above the car, you don't have the car obstructing it in any direction. Trouble is, the Bronco doesn't have a metal roof, and it doesn't have a metal trunk lid. So the Bronco doesn't have the usual ideal places to put it. So what I did was I measured the SWR of the antenna in a bunch of different locations. So you can see this is the antenna that I'm using. I put it in the driver ditch light location. You can see I got really good readings there. I also tried it on the dashboard bolt, so just in that little mounting thing right in there where the dashboard is. And I tried it on the rear hinge. You can see those measurements. They're okay, not bad, but not good. I tried it on the winch plate, on the winch bar. Tried it along the side of the vehicle inside the top on a winch on a bolt in there. The best other reading I got was this rear roll cage. So there's a space right at the back of the roll cage that has a bolt you could take out, and you could mount a bracket there. That one got pretty good readings. The reason I didn't select it was because of the routing. To route the wire from there up to the front where the radio is was more difficult than routing it from the ditch light that just goes through the engine compartment and into the dash behind the dashboard. So you can see those are readings I got from different locations, and the driver ditch light location is actually pretty good. The only difficulty with it is, you're going to have some obstruction of the vehicle, because from here, if you're radiating backwards, you're going to have some of the vehicle structure in the way. I also had a different antenna. It's the exact same one, but I tried it and got different results, and that demonstrates that different antennas are going to give you different readings. And so the one that I'm using is actually a really good antenna. They're identical ones, but they perform differently. And then I even tried a non-ground plane antenna. They're these little stubby ones, and I didn't get good readings at all with those. And so I decided I'm just going to use this antenna in this location because it gave me such good readings, and go from there. But I hope that helps you in making your decision of where to put your antenna. Now that the antenna checks out okay, I can start routing the wires. You can see from where it's mounted right by the ditch light mount, you come under the hood, and you can see that wire comes down, and you go through this little plastic plug that you can see right there. You can take that out and just, let me see if I can get it to focus on there. You make a slit and you can feed the connector through there, and then you're inside the cabin, and I'll show you on the other side what you do to route it inside the cabin. You can see that I routed the antenna wire up behind all of these things, and then behind that harness up to the, you can see this is the trim for the center console where it meets the dashboard trim. It goes behind there. Then I remove the panel here so that I can feed it down through there and gather the excess wire in there. Then I'll show you what it looks like on the other side. Here's the radio mounted on the passenger side. You can see the antenna wire comes up and it goes behind that trim, and then this is that area where I took off the trim panel, and so it goes in behind there, comes out. So now that I've got it routed, I can reinstall that panel, and then I also have an eyeglass caddy that's going to go right here and sort of hold that wire in place. This is what the panel looks like that goes in that spot. You can see this, I'll show you the front of it. This is the front of it, and you can see that it goes over that shape, the shape of the center console. And it has these two little turquoise clips that are one on each side. And you can see they go into these little square spots on each side. So that's how that goes back in there. That panel snapped back into place very easily. That's what it looks like when it's back on. You can see that it's just below the radio. With the antenna wire routed completely, I'm going to do one last SWR test to make sure it hasn't been affected by the antenna wire routing. So you can see I'm on channel 22. I go to transmit, and I've got an SWR of 1.0. Now I'm going to go to channel 1, the other end of the band, and do the same thing. Transmit SWR of 1. So the routing didn't affect it. It's working very well, and the installation is complete. This is the eyeglass caddy that I was telling you about. You can see that it conceals the wire really well. The antenna wire comes down there, plugs right in here, and it's pretty well concealed behind all the trim. To hold my microphone, I got an extended ram mount that has a microphone holder. I put a microphone holder on the end so I can just hang the microphone right there, and it doesn't block my view of the screen too much, but it does keep it up out of the way.